Hi, everyone, and welcome to the new virtual conversations series that's called Harvest the Leaders Sit Down Series. And this is designed to harvest your leadership potential. I'm Ed LaFlamme, and I'm the host of today's seminar. In our new leadership series, the Harvesters will bring you virtual, in-depth, and conversational sit-downs with business leaders from the landscape industry and other services and other service industries. Today, I'll sit down with a true American success story. Don't be too modest now, Franco.
Thanks, Ed. That
His
is.
name is Franco
I think
Diascani.
I still have some history to write there, so we're not done yet. But I
Oh,
appreciate it.
okay. His name is Franco Diascani. He's president of Design Source Botanicals and founder of Coastal Source. Have I left any out?
There's actually Design Source, which is the design build company. Then there's Design Source
Right?
Botanicals, which is the nursery, and then Coastal Source. So three entities.
Three separate
Correct.
entities.
Yeah.
Good, good. Thank you for
No
clarifying.
problem.
Franco, he's along with his two brothers in the business and their families, and a great team that have worked on 48 islands, completed 1,600 major building and landscape projects, and created more than 1 million square feet of environmentals. That's just incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of
Franco,
time.
yes, absolutely. Franco is a master of selling and, of course, upselling luxury items, as we're going to learn, and transforming his clients' dreams into reality. I love that. That's fantastic. Franco and I will have a lot to discuss today, but before we get to the webinar, I'd like to just thank Verizon Connect, Boss LM, Site Recon, and of course, Coastal Source for their partnership of the Harvest Way and webinar series. During the presentation, please type your questions into the chat box you see on the right-hand side of your screen. And I'm sure that you'll see the chat, which is on the top. Just click that. It'll open it up, and then you can just type it in. And we'll keep an eye on the questions as they come in. And this way, I'll get to as many as possible. And Kelly will be monitoring that as well. So today we're going to be enjoying and learning about so many items. It's going to be just incredible, and we're really looking forward to it. So Franco, before we begin, maybe you can just help me to understand some of the background of your company. Can you do that for us?
Sure. So me and my brother, so starting from way back, 1958, my parents came over from Italy right to the Keys. Our businesses are centered in the Keys, and we grew up in the business. So the first business was a cast stone business, and that was anything from cast stone statuary, benches, flower pots, all the way to architectural columns, stairways, things like that. So we started at a very early age, myself, at 8 years old, starting with the concrete forms and pouring concrete. And, that's where the business grew. But we're in a very small market. The Keys are 70,000 people spread out over 110 miles, chain of islands. So we had to continue to diversify. So long story short, which is probably a good thing, is we went from there to what we are now, which is a turnkey design build firm, which is fully, vertically and horizontally organized, where we are architects, we are engineers, we're landscape architects, we're interior designers, we're the general contractor, we're the landscaper, we're the AV integrator. So what we do is find property. We're also real estate brokers, or tear down property. And we start from scratch, and we pretty much develop complete turnkey estate properties and kind of boutique resorts. And we're talking about everything. They're furnished, they're accessorized. A lot of times there's food in the refrigerator. So we have about 80 people in that business, Design Source. So that evolution from cast stone has now gone to a complete turnkey business that the owners just come in, they write checks to one company. And we handle every part of that, including the growing of trees and all the parts that goes into it, and Coastal Source.
Well, that's incredible. That's incredible. Now, it started with your mom and dad. Is that
That's
right?
correct. Yes. So parents,
And
go ahead. Question?
yeah. Now, what did they do?
Well, when they came from Italy, they didn't speak very little English, so they were very bent on learning the language. So it's kind of a shame we didn't learn the language, but they were like, we're in America, and we're gonna speak English. So they started with maintenance jobs, and then a lot of odds and ends. My mom was a dressmaker. They did maintenance, things like that. And at some point, the maintenance jobs, mainly for wealthy people that were on vacation down here for fishing, and they started building things. So my dad started making concrete block walls with wood forms, very very basic. And then that grew, and he decided that, hey, instead of me working maintenance, we're going to start making this in our backyard. And that's basically where they started with the cast stone concrete. And then as us boys got a little older, got interested in other things, um, we went off to school 2 years each. None of us have a major degree. We've never worked for another company. So we went off to school, and even the schools were local so that we can come back to work. Work ethic was a very big deal to our family. So we've done every job in the company. So when we got back, my interest was in electronics. I opened two audio stores. First one at 18 years old, one in Marathon, one in Key West. Tony went for architecture, and Emmanuel, my brother, in engineering. And we just started adding flooring was the next thing after cast stone. Okay, then cabinetry, then lighting, then interiors, then construction. Actually, construction started in the beginning, but it wasn't until 1985 that we started building for others. We would do spec homes, we would do our commercial buildings, but we started building for others. And being in a market that is distant from the mainland for any real, sub trades and things like that, we just started doing more and more in house. So that's where we're at now.
Now, you said when I read before, 45 islands. Is that right?
Yeah, so the Keys is a
40.
is a chain of islands. Some, a couple acres up to, the biggest island, Big Pine and Key West are probably, Big Pine I think is maybe 15 miles by 30 miles. Very not very densely populated. So yeah, and then the nice stuff is on the water here actually. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're very limited. We're under a rate of growth ordinance. We're considered a area of critical concern. So environmental, our reefs, all that. So we have a limit of buildings, and we'll reach that limit in about 2023 of permits, and then there'll be all tear downs and things like that. So yeah, so it's a very different environment down here. So that's why we've had to diversify so much.
Wow. So it went from it sequence from the started with the
Yeah.
concrete, and it just went piece by piece by piece.
Yes, and there's some things, to be honest, we probably prefer that we didn't have to do, but those resources of the quality that we're looking for don't exist as far as we're concerned. So we've had to take all these things on. In some cases, we'd like to be more of a specialist. We like to tell people that, and this is being very honest. We are not the best architect or the best, of any one of our categories, but and we've won many national and international awards. The projects are very high quality, and that's the reason is we do everything. There's no finger pointing. So when you get a lot of independent contractors and designers, there's a lot of finger pointing. The handoffs don't go necessarily very smoothly. So that's what we do. We do that extremely well. We handle that whole project, and everything has to be done well to reach that end goal. So like I said, we're not here, saying that we are the very finest at anything, but our customers that have homes all over the world many times will tell us that the end result is very hard to beat because of that synergy of everything in house and the quality standards we hold ourselves to.
How did you create that synergy? How are you doing that?
Well, a lot of it was seat of the pants, learning on the job. I mean, we did these jobs. Me in electronics, for instance, there was no, other than a Radio Shack, there's nobody in the Keys. So you learned by doing. I started in car stereo. One of my first jobs was a Cadillac, and to be honest with you, I had no clue. I knew electronics, but I took that whole car apart to find out there's two little screws you take out. The air conditioning comes out and the radio comes out. But I had the speedometer out. I had everything apart. And I had a few screws left over when I was done. But to be honest with you, now we've also employed a lot of great people. So it's definitely not me and my brothers. There's now I'm generation two. There's 6 of generation 3 here, and architectural degrees, engineering degrees, landscape architecture degrees. So more educated than us, and we try and give them that all that experience we've learned the hard way. So it's been us pretty much learning from scratch and bringing the company up. And then obviously we've had great people come in and help us. But to be honest with you, it's been a long process. I started at 8. I'm going to be 60. So to be honest with you, I've got let's call it 50 years of doing this, and pretty much every job there.
Do you have a leadership team that runs these companies? How are you organizing this?
Well, so I'm the president of all 3. Tony's CEO of this one. Madel's vice president, CEO of some other companies. We had a board of directors for a short period of time. We thought that was good, probably 10 years of our history, let's say. And I think that was good in that big picture stuff. Some of our clients, and we have some very wealthy and knowledgeable business clients, CEOs, things like that. And I think it was a really good practice for that period of time. And then, you get back to, I think, the very individual needs of your company, because it's hard to step in from, one of them was Scott Paper Towel, one was with GM and Abbott Laboratories. So, some of that big picture stuff is great, but obviously applying that to a business like ours is very different. So I can't say that, we did have that. Other than that, it's all of us doing our jobs.
But you have, as you mentioned, you've got all of the disciplines you need. Who's the mastermind behind hiring the right disciplines and the right people?
Okay, so we started Coastal Source in 2003, and it was only for our projects, Design Source projects. It was not to sell to anyone else. So in 2003, we and my oldest son, Franco, who's an engineer and an architect, started this as a pet project. Build better stuff for our projects that will survive outdoors in a harsh environment. And that harsh environment outdoors everywhere. We happen to be in the Keys. So from 2003 and 2010, I spent a fair amount of time in it. 2010 on, I spent the majority of my time on building Coastal Source. So I'm now probably 90% Coastal Source, 10% Design Source. So during that transition period, my 2 sons came in. One's a landscape architect, the other one's an architect engineer, and they did a really wonderful job of taking over a lot of my responsibilities. And then we also have 4 other G3 of the family working here. And then we have key members, our architect, our CEO, et cetera, that kind of put all that together. If you take it one step back from that, Emanuel's always been in charge of kind of the showroom and the design. Okay, so it's my younger brother. And our showroom's 25,000 square feet. It's an experience center. Tony's been really construction. So the actual making it, getting the job done. Mine has been the outdoor environment. So landscapes, pools, outdoor living, and electronics. So the audio video side of it, automation, and the outdoor environments. That's been distributed a little bit more now because the company's grown considerably. So other people, I still am fairly involved with our nursery, outdoor environments, and coastal. Those all go together very nicely. And Tony and Madel are pretty much, doing what they did with some really good help now.
Tell us about the nursery.
So the nursery started here. It was only a couple acres, and started in the Keys, which is not a great place to either manufacture things or grow things. Our water bill for 2 acres was probably $1,000 a month. Our tax bill was $25,000 a year. Labor's high, so we purchased 20 acres in Palm Beach, where we have a lake that we pump the water out of, and it's just better central for shipping and all that. And why we started was, I'm going to say 30 years ago, our architecture was coming along, our building was coming along. We kind of felt that those were leading the business pack here, let's say. But when we step back and look at landscaping, the landscape subs we use the same 8 trees on our jobs and everybody else's jobs. So we started looking into plants, and we love digging into things. And when we did, we decided,
Literally, no pun
yes,
intended.
exactly. I've done a lot of digging. The new crews can outdig me by a long margin right now, though. But we found that, you know what, to do the things that we want to do and to deliver the product to the client that is exceptional, we need to we need to do things if they're not readily available to us ourselves. So we started growing palm trees, and we started with about 8. There's about 3 that are popular in the Keys. Went to 8 or 10. We now grow 500 species of palm trees, and we grow them to specimen sizes. Now we also grow tropical plants. We don't really grow commodity plants. So we grow the plants that get our customers excited, that they don't see down the street from them, that we do plant signs that have the country of origin, the scientific name, what size we planted it, what country they're from. It's an emotional buy-in. And some of these are spectacular. So that's why the nursery's there. We tried a couple times to get out. One was these plants exist in some capacity in other places, but people love to hold on to these specimens and stuff. They're their babies. They grew them, that kind of thing. So we just, that's when we got into it. So again, it's a part of the package of a turnkey design source job. It's not, we like doing things that others don't. Now, we only try and do that, if be it with coastal, with our plants or design source, only if we truly believe it's superior. But we don't like doing commodity stuff, and for us, there's no money in the commodities.
Yeah, I can understand. We talked in our previous conversation. We talked about your sales philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think our viewers would be really interested in that. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we are definitely, I would say, in the luxury market, but with coastal, with our plants, and with design source, we need to be competitive. Okay, so we believe that we just can't be more expensive to be more expensive. We need to deliver value. Okay, and even customers that we have that are millionaires and billionaires want value. It's different. It's not bottom line price. So I think one of the things that we learned early on, and like I said, we'll do someone's kitchen remodel or bathroom remodel. So we do modest jobs at a certain entry level, let's say. Well, we learned a long time ago, and we learned it young, but one, in the Keys, don't judge a book by the cover. You could have people walk in that you think don't have much money, and they will shock you. Number 2, don't sell out of your pocket. Me and my brothers, our family, we make a good living, okay? But I have customers that literally make 1,000 times more than I do, okay? So if I spend $100, they could spend 10,000, 100,000 and feel the same way about it, So we like to stretch the limits. We've done a lot of firsts, pools. We've done pools that are 250,000 gallons, 8,000 square feet. We've done audio systems and automation into the millions of dollars. We've done landscape jobs on residences into the millions of dollars. So we get a lot of, I think, excitement out of that. And we believe that if we didn't exist here, those properties and those projects would not exist either. Because the customers have the money, but they don't know that these kind of things, they could actually have these kind of things. So that's part of what we do.
What the possibilities
exactly.
are, right? We don't know what the possibilities are.
Now, we also have to be careful because we do so much that if we go up against another builder or an architect or whatever, what we can throw at a job is a lot, and a bid from someone else is going to be very limited. So there's a lot to the sales process, obviously, but we have to be careful that we don't throw too much out. Take a home theater system. Let's say it's a 3,000 square foot house or a 5,000 square foot house. Well, if the theater's a couple hundred square feet and it's into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, it has a real bearing on the square footage price. So it's all that. But I think from a sales philosophy, give your customers a choice, good, better, best, and don't be scared of that best being somewhat extreme. Now, you got to know your market. You got to know that those customers exist in your market. And as I traveled a lot more with coastal, okay? So I saw things in the market that I didn't believe, like Orlando that has these incredible mansions and estate properties, and I'm like, why in the center of Florida? You know, they exist everywhere. So don't be scared of, you know, have a plan so that if they're not that mega customer, you got to have an answer for them. Just an example, at Coastal, we have speakers that start at about $200 each, and we have outdoor speakers that are $7,500 each. And you'd be shocked at how many of those $7,500 speakers we sell, because letting them listen to it, they make up their mind what is value. So yeah, there's a lot there in the luxury upper end market. Your whole company has to portray that, though.
Mm. I remember you were saying about those exotic palms.
Yes.
Sometimes you could have a price tag of over $5,000 for one.
Yeah, we've sold them
And,
into the tens of
well,
thousands of dollars.
yeah. So I remember you saying that you don't focus on that.
Correct.
You're looking for a feeling that you're trying to get across to your customer, right? Is that right?
An emotional buy-in. When people
Yes.
buy emotionally, there's some value component. That value is generally excitement. Okay, so it's still a value component, but it's not bottom dollars. So I think I mentioned to you every other year, because we have to build a bunch of new gardens. We'll do a tour called Palms in Paradise. Okay, and it's the exteriors of 4 to 5 of our estate properties. We generally have great relationships with our customers, so they like to let us bring by. But we'll bring in 3 to 5 buses, like Greyhound buses. We'll have everyone at the showroom here in the morning, about 150 people. We'll give them breakfast. We'll go out, visit gardens. We'll have lunch in a garden. Then we'll have a gala after with a great dinner and fireworks. But the whole idea is people go into the environment and they experience it as its total, okay, as a whole. Yeah, there's some $5,000 plants in there. There may be some $25,000 plants in there, and there's some $50 plants in there, okay? And there's a pool that is from a few $100,000 way on up. The outside architecture, the trellises, the hardscape, all that. And most of the time our owners are there. They come out and tell people about them. They come and talk to them about it. And when these VIPs that we invite get exposed to that, and that other people are enjoying it and enhancing their lives, it really brings that barrier down. And they stop looking at the individual prices. They also don't feel they're a guinea pig, where if you show them a plan and it's $1 million landscape, they're like, are you out of your mind? Am I a guinea pig? No, we show them that this is not unusual. So there's a lot to that process, but it allows you to really upsell.
Yeah, I can see you really, you try to really reach the heart of the person and the emotions of the person, which I got to say, I think a lot of landscapers they learn from you on that, because they don't do that. They're too afraid to do that. And they're too afraid of the price tag sometimes,
Yeah. There's a saying, and it's probably dated now, right? But, dig a $5 hole for a $55 plant, or a $50 hole for a $50 plant, So in other words, don't chinch on the hole. Well, if we're going to dig a $50 hole, we're going to put a $500 plant in it. Okay. The return on investment is much better. You got to educate the customer to it. But yeah, again, don't sell out of your pocket, because, your customer may be tight as you. In other words, they make a lot more money, but they don't want to spend it. I mean, we see that also, obviously. But, a good example, I think, and Ed, you've experienced, is our audio demos. Okay.
Yeah.
Our audios are demos are very friendly to the landscape design build trade. They're made to be simple to operate, simple to install. But if you go and you don't know a lot about audio, and you go to your customer and say, I want to sell you a $10,000 system or $2,000 system, or whatever it may be, they might look at you sideways and say, what are you doing in this business? So we just go hook it up. You're doing a landscape job, hook the system up. You should do it in 10, 15 minutes and play it. And 95% of the time, your customer's going to say, I want it. And the price is way more than they would have thought. But it's really not, it's not a question. It's just, when can I have it? It's emotional.
When I heard the speakers last year for the first time in a garden center parking lot. God, I thought I was at Carnegie Hall. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And it's like, you're absolutely right. You get that emotional buy-in. It's like, oh, I'll take it all, It's the quality was so outrageous.
Yeah,
It's an experience to listen
yeah,
to.
it's
It really is.
just leave it with me. But yeah, I think that's what we try and do. We also don't like splitting hairs, or
Mm,
having it where you're trying to sell coastal, if we're trying to sell a design job, design source job, whatever, where it needs to be graphically and experientially a major difference. So that's the way we try and do our companies, is that you could have a really good salesperson and maybe you got an average salesperson. Well, we want that average salesperson still to perform. Okay, so we believe it's our
mhm.
duty to make if your customer's in the proper price range. Okay, and like I said, we cover a pretty large price range. We want it to be demonstratably and clearly superior. We don't want it to be an incredible amount of research or you convincing the customer that they should go with Coastal Source. It should be a no-brainer. That's unless they're looking for something half the price.
Mhm. I'm curious, just to change tack a bit. I'm curious. You're in business with your two brothers and so many family
Mhm.
members. When you want to do things, how in the world do you make decisions?
Well, we grew up together, right? So this is, a lot of the fights happened when we were really young, you know. So we we live and breathe and eat the business every day. Family's very close. Family's pretty big. So there's no doubt that there is differences of opinion. Most of the time, luckily for us, I think the three of us and even the extended G3, everyone clearly is trying to do what's best for the business. But obviously, I've got a little different perspective because of my experience and environment. I'm seeing a lot more of the business in the United States as a whole versus my brothers. Right, they're focused on the
Mhm.
keys and our business. Amadeo's really into the creativity and amazing designs. Well, me and my brother, mainly my brother Tony, he's got to build it. So he's like, I'd like to see a little simpler design for a change. So we have these dynamics, but everybody's really trying to do what's best for the business long term. We make a lot of investments that are very long term. So there's not there. I can say that sometimes there are. I think heated discussions are not right, but we'll go into a conference room. We have a number of them here, and we'll have some employees in there, and sometimes they'll come out saying, "Wow, that was brutal." Well, and especially it's me and my younger brother. But when we come out of that meeting, there's no hard feelings. There's we're everybody's just trying to jockey their position of what they think is the best for the company. So, but there's no animosity after it. So that I think that's
Oh,
a lot of it is just our upbringing, to be honest with you.
that's key. That's key. I love that. I love that. Fantastic. Would you say you had a particular leadership style?
Yeah, I would say we don't consider ourselves above our staff. Okay, I think that's a big one. I think we really try and treat
Awesome.
people fairly. We've got we've been blessed. We think we've been lucky. I think we've worked for a lot of that luck, obviously. So
Mhm.
when it comes to other people, we our expectations are pretty high. I think they're very high on us and our business overall, high of our staff, and then our client. We want our expectations to be higher than our clients. That's challenging at times because some of our clients are very significant, people that have experienced a lot of things and quality. Um, but it takes a lot of different people, and a lot of people come from different places. So I say our management style is we're not micromanagers. I'll tell you that. So we're very much we're most successful with self-starting, motivated people. We're
Mm.
not we have an HR department. We have an intro program and stuff like that. But then it becomes sink or swim, and after a while. And to be honest with you, we probably should have more of a ongoing training and things like that. But our style is really get in there, get the work done, listen. We all hear it, right? How many times you need to listen more than you talk? You can see I'm talking a lot. So I don't, and maybe I'm not the greatest at that. Um, so yeah, I think, and then we have all our, individual departments. But I think it's really, I think we were along with a work ethic that was very significantly put on us by our parents. And they didn't help us with our homework or anything like that kind of stuff. They were from Italy, but I would say ethics. What's our parents taught us what is right, what is wrong. We make mistakes all the time, but we truly want to do what is best for our clients, for our business, for our staff. You can't always do that, obviously, but from a management style, I think that's what we're interested in.
It sounds like if your people make mistakes, you're gonna expect them not to do it again, but you're forgiving of the mistake too.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the mistakes can be huge. When you're talking about projects that get into the tens of millions of dollars, the mistakes can be very painful, and we've had some. To be honest with you, I don't think I can ever remember terminating someone for a mistake or even multiple mistakes. If someone does it over and over and over again, obviously there's a problem. But in the custom business, which we are, you're going to make mistakes. So yeah, again, like I said, we want to treat people fairly, but our expectations of productivity, efficiency, creativity, those kind of things, we want a fair works day for a fair wage.
How have you maintained such good quality? That quality level, you've said that a number of times. How do you inculcate that into people? That's what you're looking
for? It's really interesting because I think you probably hear this all the time also. No matter where they are, you have clients in Ohio and Nebraska or whatever, and they're all going to say labor's terrible here, subcontractors are terrible here. So, we're in the Florida Keys, and a lot of people are escaping, and they escape down here. You know why? Because they just get in their car and they drive till you can't drive anymore. That's us. Okay. So we end up with some really interesting, and sometimes they're very successful people that are just tired of what they were doing. But so I heard a lot about, and I felt that the Keys were worse. Up north, the work ethic's so much better. Well, I've traveled a lot, mainly through Coastal Source. We have about 1,000 dealers throughout the U.S. So I've learned a lot, and I've learned it's the same story everywhere. So to say that in my area things are so much worse and everybody else has it easy, we all know that the grass is not always greener someplace else. We have full benefits. We have the real deal. Even at our nursery, our competitors up there, most of them are not legal workers. They don't have vacations. They don't have 401k plans. They don't have benefits. They don't have health insurance. We have all those things. Okay. It makes us somewhat uncompetitive, but that's the way we do business. And, we have a number of 25-year plus employees. So I think treating them well, paying, cost of living is not inexpensive, especially down here. So I think it's that whole package. We don't yell and scream. We're just not that type. We're demanding, to a certain degree. But I think it's treating people right, giving them a great work environment. We work in a beautiful place. Our facilities are beautiful. I think it's I think everything, there's not a silver bullet. It's a package.
Yeah. Does that mean you have an incentive program or bonus programs built in?
We do. Some of our trades, some of our people, it's hard to single out performance. Okay. So I'm going to say that probably 40% of our people are on an incentive plan. And generally our incentive plans are reasonable, you can make a living on your base. Okay. And then incentives, business it can be cyclic here, especially if you're in the luxury business, it can be cyclic,
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So, but yeah, we would love to do it more. But as an example, if you're doing a $10 million project, it's hard to pull out someone's role and effect on that. Okay. So we've spent a lot of time on figuring that out to come to figure out you can't. In other words, someone does a great job and someone does a poor job, but if they're on that job, they're all part of that incentive program. So we try and break it down a little bit, but where it's practical, we're definitely love it.
Okay. How do you see the future? The future of what you're doing now specifically?
Yeah. So business is very good right now. I'm going to say that Design Source is booked out 18 months. Coastal has had a banner year last year. This year is even going to be higher. So I like to say that it's unpredictably good. Okay.
Hmm.
As far as how long this is going to last, I think, and I think you mentioned it, I think we've got a year and a half to go, maybe or so. And then, every area is different. Down in the Keys here, people want out of the, I would not want to be a landlord in LA or New York City right now.
Hmm.
Okay. It's not what it used to be. But a place in the Keys that will never have more than about 80,000 people, I can get away. Remote working obviously is fact of life now. So a lot of our people can work in the Keys, running their business. So overall, we think in the Keys, it'll be probably a little, longer, or these rural communities that people want to be in. I think they're gonna enjoy a longer stretch of prosperity. And overall, I think when I look at business, and the market goes up and down, the economy goes up and down, you know, you need to look at your business, and you have to create your own economy. If you start getting too wrapped up in what's happening, you can't control that. When business goes down, you got to take market share. You got to keep growing, or at least stay even. So that's kind of how we look at it. So I do have on my desk a crystal ball. Okay,
That's
it's a real
great.
crystal ball. Not that reliable though. But we do planning meetings, all that stuff. But I think you just have to work with what you have to work with. But don't, market starts going down, we try and, these people we have are very valuable to us. So we try and maintain those even in downturns, which means you just got to work harder, get a little more aggressive, take market share from the people that are down and out because the market's not so good. We want to step in and, get that business.
Yeah. You mentioned you have planning meetings. Do you have that within each individual company, or do you also have planning meetings with the leadership of all the companies?
No, it's individual. So for Coastal Source, we have partners, the Zimmerman family, and it's worked beautifully because I think both families are, have successful businesses, multiple generations, very high business ethics, and also looking for quality. I mean, quality is our underlying area. So although we discuss the businesses on that one's really a partnership with two separate entities in Coastal Source.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have year end. So for instance, our finances will be consolidated for the Scanio family with all our companies. Okay. And then we have some other real estate partnerships and things like that. So we will look at them globally. We'll look at how they're all doing. But I would say more of the meetings are company wide because they're fairly specific. Now they're affected by each other, but generally, if you get too many people and too many things to discuss, a lot of times you go in circles, don't get anything done. So we do try and focus.
And do you meet throughout the year and touch base on the decisions you made in those planning sessions?
So it depends on the business. The Design Source business is meetings on a very regular basis, project management, design, contracting, crews, all that kind of stuff. So that's more of a weekly, bi-weekly, just running meetings. Okay. And then there's a couple in the year that are global. Okay. Something like Coastal Source, which is more on the design and manufacturing and distribution. Those meetings are, every week we have a staff meeting. Okay. So it's everybody, half an hour. What's going on? What's new? We've heard any problems? What's our inventory status, which we're pleased to say has been about a 99% fill, which most companies cannot match. So every week we have this quick huddle of a half an hour, and we spread it around about who presents on customer service, who's sales, who's on inventory, who's on what's happening out in the field, those kind of things. And then there's a management group that will have several meetings a year, and then generally one in person, because we really have the Florida Keys R&D of Coastal, and then we have the assembly and corporate and shipping and warehousing and all that in New Jersey. So generally we try and have those. We all meet once a year. Now we do a lot of trade events and trainings and work together in those constantly also.
Interesting. So it's all Zoom meetings now, right?
Yeah, so we're just hopefully things are breaking. We're fortunate that our stuff is outdoor, so we can train outdoor, we can demo outdoor. So we've been doing it to a limited supply, a limited amount, but we're looking forward to getting out there and getting in front of people and meeting people and training, because our systems are simpler than our competitors. A big deal for us, but they're different. So if you don't know, you don't get with a coastal system, you don't get a spool of wire and start cutting it up. It's all
Yeah.
IP68 cables. You have to know what you need, but once you have what you need, reliability, performance, labor savings is significant.
Yeah, I think from a strategy standpoint, the way you've thought that out has been just incredible. That was really, really incredible because I think you're putting yourself, when you're thinking this out, you're putting yourself into the customer and into the contractor's shoes, so that you're making it easy for them, and then they're going to want to buy the material.
Yeah, so we believe in if it's hard for us to do, that's perfectly fine. It's got to be easy for our dealers, and truly, my brothers, and even some of our kids now, we've sat in all those jobs. I dug the holes, I've done the landscape design, I've wired probably 100,000 things. So when we go, and I think I mentioned this, Ed, not only do we design and build these estates and resorts, but we generally maintain them for decades. And our customers pay us to go while they're not here, because most of them are here for a month to 4 months, to look for problems. So we've been trained that we go to these beautiful award-winning projects to look for issues. Okay. So when we design for coastal or our customers, et cetera, that's what we do. We need to solve problems. We need to be solutions people. And like I said, yeah, so that's when we go to a coastal dealer and we make a presentation, or when our dealers are making a presentation around our competition, we want it to be crystal clear. And we want that dealer to make money. We want them to be able to install it, sell it very easily, install it, move on to the next one.
Yeah, I heard you have barges on the move all the time.
Yes, we have little barges because we built homes offshore. So, actual barges where we concrete trucks, everything. And then, so
really?
yeah, we've done completely offshore, which is a major undertaking. And then we have our vans, which I don't know if that was the other barge you're talking about, but our vans, which we have out on the road, which can quickly demo our lighting and audio, very professional. And when we do this for dealers, right? You have a customer that wants an audio or lighting demo, we will assist you. We have demo kits, so it's very important that you buy those and you're able, but we're here to teach you to fish. We're not there to catch all your fish, but we'll teach you to fish. But when we pull up with one of these Sprinter vans that is very professionally done, it adds credibility to our dealers and coastal that, we're serious about this. And then you play the systems, or you light up the front yard, and they know you, and they know that you're someone that they want to deal with.
For sure. Are there other business types of business you're thinking that you may want to invest in to round out what you're doing?
Boy, we have our hands pretty full. I would tell you with coastal, we pretty much want to own the backyard. Okay, so right now it is very high quality, high performance lighting and audio, and combinations of the two. But long term, we want and we have our system is exclusive, it's a patented wiring system. A lot of our products is patented. You have to be a dealer to sell it. Okay, so as we add things, and I don't want to get into too much detail but think of anything outside. Okay, we're probably not going to make pavers. Okay, because that's again a commodity business. But the things that are really nice, profitable add-ons that add to your customers' outdoor living enjoyment, we want our dealers to put the infrastructure in. Might be lighting at first, might be lighting audio, and then just continue to add that. But our dealers have to come back. They can't go to whoever they want and add on to our system. Now they could butcher it, they can go ahead and cut wires and do all that. So you could do that. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that exclusivity where, with us, once we get a customer, we hang on to them for life. It's much easier to continue to do business with that customer than find new customers, especially in the Keys where there's only so many customers, So yeah, so I don't know that we want to get into a whole nother business. We want to continue to expand our businesses to just continue to add services and products.
Yeah, I can see your philosophy is really working, and I love it the way you have such a great culture within your people. Because I've met a number of people now over the last year, and they're just delightful people. They just really are. Are you doing things throughout the year with all the people to
we
develop
do. So culture is a big deal. When we were smaller, us growing the Design Source business and botanicals, Coastal Source, we're probably about 30 people now. But when we were a dozen, culture was just what we did, right? Everybody knows each other, and there's not a ton of people still, but we've invested in planning culture, spelling out culture, setting the expectations, because I think we're fortunate because as companies grow, a lot of the times they change significantly. Now with us, we've got two families that have reasonably good sized businesses that have been successful. So we're not out there with Coastal just trying to make a quick buck. We put every dollar back into it. So we don't want that culture to change when we're 10 times the size, 100 times the size. Now, certain things have to change, but those fundamentals that got us to where we are right now, we believe are going to be important for the next stages also. So we spend time on culture. From an employee standpoint, we do picnics. We did on the anniversary of the moon landing, we did model rockets for 80 people. We do fun drives. We, fishing tournaments. We think that's important, right? You work hard together, but also enjoy things together. And they can be expensive, but they're not expensive in the grand scheme of things. And to be honest with you, they return dividends. They're profitable if you look at them in the right way.
Yeah, John sent me some of your videos. I mean, they're like awesome. All those fishing trips.
Yeah.
You go at it in a big way, and you have a lot of fun. I can see that.
Yeah, and I think life is an adventure for all of us, right? I've set a lot of goals. I've been fortunate to accomplish a lot of those. Once you're there, it's not that big a deal, whatever that thing is, So I think doing things that make you feel good, and that's not going to happen every day. You're not going to make everybody happy every day. But I think it's important that you find, most of us, if it's the audio or the plants or whatever it may be, a lot of those started out, to be frank with you, as a hobby to add on to our business. But we're so business minded. We're like, well, if we like this and if we like it, we'll probably be better at it. Let's start doing that. But yeah, I think it's important that, you're not always looking for that next thing. Do what you like to do. Generally, you'll be more successful at it. And try and look at the big picture. We've been fortunate that we see so many things that, and one thing to touch upon really quick is we track our costs very carefully. So we know what is profitable and we will what is not profitable. I mentioned one thing that we hear from you quite often, not from you, from landscape design builders, is that I'm so busy with my general work, pavers, retaining walls, landscaping, that I don't have time for the add-ons. Well, to us, that's a no-brainer. Do a few less of those and do the profitable add-ons that really make huge amount of profit for you in that total job, icing on the cake, better project for your client. So we track those costs very carefully so that we know what to do and what not, what to sub out, what to tell customers, no thank you. Saying no is very powerful. We don't do it often and we choose it very carefully, but there's times we say no that are very important to a business.
That's really profound. It really is. Yeah. You have to know what you're good at, what you're not, where you're making money, where you're not. I know we tell the Harvest Group always tells their clients, it's not the base contract you're making your money. You're making money on the enhancement work. And like you just said, the add-ons. And I think you're absolutely dead on that many design build contractors, they're just focused on doing the job and not the add-on, the potential add-on. But I've seen that where the sales designers are really good, and they'll sell $3 million a year because they're visiting the site and they're suggesting ideas to the client, and the client's buying because as long as that job is moving along with quality and they're happy with it, they're going to keep buying because they love what they see.
And it also separates you from the crowd. If you can truly deliver this package, okay, that is everything in the outdoor environment, okay, how many of your competitors can do that? But how many of your competitors can do pavers, can do landscaping, can do maintenance, can do irrigation?
Yeah.
You separate yourself, and it's important to be knowledgeable. I think one of the things we're lucky about is with our core group, we know a lot. Okay. And then we have great resources where we're not the actual expert, but there's a confidence that comes when you can talk about all those things, and it just separates you from your competition. And, some people are looking for the cheapest price and they're willing to piecemeal it, right? I want the cheapest landscaper, cheapest hardscape guy. I'm going to get someone else for the trellis. I'm going to get someone else for the outdoor kitchen. But in most cases, if they can go to one person that delivers value and that whole package, that's a huge competitive advantage because you're not going to have a lot of competitors that can match you.
True. That's very, very true. So what advice would you give, first of all, to an owner who's starting up his company, is relatively new?
Well, I would say, there's a lot of levels of new. In other words, first, you need to learn what you're going to be doing. So again, and some of that learning is just do it yourself. I mean, that's how we learn. We did it ourselves. So that's probably number one. So once you learn what you're going after and the products and the services so you need to be confident in those. And then I think adding one at a time that you can handle is very important. And then grow into the business you want to be. But all along, you really need to understand the business. As we like to say with Coastal, we don't care if you're in the landscape business, if you're an electrician, if you're a high-end audio video integrator, a good business person that understands where they should be putting their time and their effort is our best dealer, because we've built the business around that. We want to be the dealer's contractor's best partner. We truly believe that there's more money per hour per crew in Coastal Source than anything else you can do, and we can demonstrate that. Okay, so I think understanding your business is critical, and for a lot of reasons, to do the things you like to do, but also do not beat your head against the wall with things that are low margin, challenging, and pretty much everyone in your community that's in your business does it.
Yeah, and especially when the add-ons, as far as I'm concerned, they sell themselves.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of opening your mind up, and then, I'm telling my clients now, when you're doing your plans, just put the lighting and the sound equipment in there.
Right.
Don't ask, just do it. And when the client says, "What's that?" then you explain it.
Or better yet, you demo it. You say, "Oh, yeah, let me demonstrate this for you," before you try to justify the prices and all that. So, and then that was for the experienced people that have been doing this for a long time. I like to say that those of us that have been doing it a long time, we don't need practice. We need to make money. Okay, if that's what your business goal is, that may not be everybody's business goal, but doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result, that's not real smart. So value your time, value your business, go to your customers with that confidence, and charge what is appropriate for the value you're delivering.
Interesting. That's great. Do you, because you have so many family members, and I've worked and known a number of companies that's the situation. Not in landscape, but I knew one. It's got a very incredible store, grocery store.
Hmm.
Another one was men's and women's clothes, and they had a lot of family
Hmm.
members in both. They had succession
Yes.
plans. Do you have something
We
like
do.
that for
Yes, we
your?
have a buy-sell agreement, which is kind of that, of what happens when something happens to one of us and, all those things. But yeah, I think that's very important. If you're a family business or not, if you
Yeah,
care about your business as much as we do, and most, for most of us that own the business, these are our babies. Regardless if we hate them sometimes or not, they're our babies. Um,
yeah,
I had those two audio stores and they got morphed into Design Source, rightfully so. But I spent 15 years, started young, building those. When we actually closed those stores and brought it into our 25,000 square foot design center, it felt like I lost something. So I think if you have that passion, then you want to see it continue, you know or
mm,
if I know that a lot of people are looking for that payday. So there's certain things you need to do to prepare your business to be profitable, efficient, look good on the books so you can sell it. So even though that may not be succession to your staff or your kids, it's succession to a next owner. So regardless, those things are extremely important. There's certain, like naming the business after yourself, or taking a lot of money out, or things like that. And I'm sure you guys coach, the Harvest Group probably coaches people on succession and how to build a
yeah, we
business
do.
that is marketable. Some of the things we do, our business are not very marketable because they rely too much on ourselves.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. What would you say you're most proud of?
Wow. To be honest with you, I would say I'm most proud of my kids. Okay, so I put a lot of time and effort into that, a lot of love. I'm very fortunate they are here. They work with us. We're a very close family. Then I would say our extended family. And then I would say the reputation of the businesses, our staff. I mean, a quick story, nothing's real quick, but, we used to have
Yeah.
about 150 people here. And one day payroll was late, payroll service coming out of Miami. They would truck the checks down every day. And it was pretty staggering that we had people here 7, 8 o'clock at night, families. So it was 150 employees plus families waiting for that paycheck. Okay.
Mm,
That gives you some sense of how important your job is. It's not all about you. So I think we're proud to give people opportunities that may have not existed if we weren't here.
mm. Good point. Good point. That's fantastic. How about you personally? Do you get away, vacations, and travel,
So we're
or
very
what
lucky
do
because we
you
live in the
do?
Keys, and to be honest with you, we live
Yes.
here.
You're on Franco, you're on vacation every
Yeah,
day.
some people would say that. So we love the tropics. We love here. I truly believe that our businesses, not necessarily coastal because it's a national business, but Design Source could be a much bigger business if it was in a bigger population. But that
Mm,
requires a lifestyle change. So we are workaholics. We put in a lot of time, but we also take breaks, and we do a lot of boating, as you saw in some of the videos. So I think
mm-hmm,
everything in life is a balance.
mm,
Too much work, even though we probably push that sometimes, there has to be other parts of it. And the Keys is not for everyone. We don't have a lot of nightlife. We don't have any real shopping to speak of and things like that. But it suits us. So when we go on vacations, a lot of times it's to tropical places. So I think again we're blessed, lucky. We in most cases enjoy our daily lives. So yes, do we go places? Yes, but we're pretty content here, to be honest with you.
oh, that's fantastic. Well, I tell you, you and your brothers and family have put together an incredible group of
Thank you.
businesses, and I can tell the culture
Mhm.
and your product being of high
Mhm.
quality, and your people being the way they are. The loyalty of your people is just a reflection of you and your two
Yeah.
brothers,
Thank
especially.
you. And I think, we don't believe we're any smarter than anyone else. We may work a little harder, and we may turn over a lot of stones. We've had a lot of unsuccessful things. This is no miracles here. But I believe if people really put their minds to it and rely on specialists and consultants like yourself that have seen so much, that you could accomplish the same thing. You know, when my parents came here, it was very thin. Money, food, all those things, you know. So
Yeah,
anybody can do it. In the US, anybody can do it.
I agree with you. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your story about about you personally and about your family and even your mom and
Yeah.
dad when they started
Yeah.
from Italy and what they've done. It truly is a really American success story without a
Thank
doubt.
you.
I want to thank you and all those who surround you for helping us put this 1 hour together to sit down with you.
Right.
It's been
Yeah,
awesome.
and we like sharing. So we appreciate the opportunity you've given, and I think your members are very wise to participate in in everything you guys do.
Good. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Well, that'll put an end to our hour. That's it. And in the future, we'll have more sit down sessions like this, and we hope you'll join us. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Take
Have a
care,
good day.
Franco. Have a great day. You too.